How you guys doing? These are two nitros. This is a genuine HPI bullet. Now this right here is the topic of this video. This is a 2006 Hot Bodies Lightning GT10. Now in this video, we will be doing a full restoration and first test fire up, and if things go well, a test drive on this vintage 2006 Nitro. Now I know you're looking at it and you're like, how come I have two Nitros if I'm only really doing a video on this one, right? Well, this I will call is the brother, the twin, the cousin. They share the same DNA, and that is because Hot Bodies has a long time standing relationship with HPI Racing. Now the modern Hot Bodies is called HB Racing, and they make some of the best 1/8 scale buggies. Let me give you the story on this particular one. I purchased it on Mercari. I paid about $150 all in. That's inclusive of shipping. Now this body, clearly it's not the original one. This is a hard body from a Tamiya Blackfoot. It does not fit very well, so let's just get rid of it and talk about the chassis. The chassis, it's a direct copy of the HPI Bullet. And I gotta tell you guys, when you clone greatness, you're gonna end up with greatness. But honestly, the word clone is not really the right word here. There are a couple differences, but mainly we will just be doing a repair, restoration, and test run video on this chassis. If you want to know the differences, well, I'm just gonna tell you. Here, we don't have anodizing on the aluminum parts. Otherwise, it literally is exactly the same. In fact, the tread on both this and the Bullet ST is also identical. So, how about we jump directly into the restoration? Let's go back to what it took to make this Nitro great again. We have the engine out of the chassis, and yes, there is a whole ton of rust. Now look into the top. It looks like the piston is, well, it could have been worse. Sleeve looks to be in normal condition. But look at that back plate. A whole bunch of old oil. It also looks like what could be minor elements of rust, but I will wash that. Let's take a look inside the motor itself. This is probably one of the dirtiest motors I have seen in a long time. Now, considering I have repaired, rehabbed, and restored many vintage Nitro motors, and this is one of the best ones. I know it says HB over here, which is Hot Bodies, but this in fact is a regular HPI G3.0. You could see it says 0.18 on the side. All of this has to be cleaned out fully. It has to be re-oiled, has to be reassembled. Now, some people will attempt to run an engine like this. I highly recommend you don't do that. Even though it might look pretty normal and clean on the top here, you might think, oh, let me put a little bit of oil in it, heat it up. I'll try to start it, I'm gonna do the most I can. We're gonna overpower it. Not a good idea. This kind of stuff, if it's rust, if it's hard particles, it could ruin the compression over time. The fuel tank, clean inside. That's good news. And as I'm busy working, of course, got a couple snacks ready to go, guys. It's hard to repair Nitros without a good couple snacks. I finished cleaning the motor, and I have a big update for you guys. You want to take a look inside? I'm going to show it to you. Check this out. It looked quite bad before, huh? And now, I would say it's about 85% less bad. You're always going to have a little bit of that oil sludge in there, but that is not rust. What matters most is there's no rust. I don't really go and clean it as much as possible. I know some people remove the piston, the sleeve. You really don't need to do that sort of stuff. As you could see, it moves freely. I have no resistance there with the crankshaft. The connecting rod looks normal. On the top, that's about as good as a 2007 motor could possibly look. Well, time to get it all together.
You think you know me?
The vintage Hot Bodies is back together. The engine Well, we're gonna fire it up, guys. You saw as I was just going through the repair process. Fully ripped it apart, cleaned it, oiled it, put it back together. Fuel tank system is clean. I did have to replace one of the fuel lines. It was fairly bad and too short for this chassis. Only real problem that I can see, other than them missing part of the cooling head here on top, is I did have to make my own air filter element. It's a little bit tough to get these smaller carburetor size air filters. They're not the same as the larger 0.21 and up size engines today. Kind of hard to get one of those. We have all of the starting equipment here ready to go. Spectrum DX4S radio, all paired. We have the rotor start system, tuning screwdriver, and of course, the glow driver. We're running 30% nitro for this video. Keep in mind, we're not gonna try to kill it. I'm just trying to do a little test run, check out the clutch. There are still things here that you will only be able to diagnose while driving it. I've got the electronics on. If you call that steering, I guess you can call that steering, but in my opinion, it's the weakest steering servo ever. Let's prime it and fire it up, guys. All right. Crazy compression in this. Crazy compression. Rotor start can barely turn it over. Well, guys, shut down a little bit, like halfway down the block. That was really not that embarrassing because, like, you know, this is a nitro, I really don't care. But yeah, the engine was really rich. I'm going to lean it out a little bit. We're gonna give this another shot. Let's fire it up again. Shut down again. Am I upset? Am I worried? No, because we could just fire this up again. It's still running really rich. I have to you know, raise the idle set screw a little bit. Engine RPMs kind of dip. It's a good example for all of us on some proper nitro engine restoration and tuning, what I like to call trial and error. I've raised the idle a little bit manually, turning the idle set screw about 1/8 of a turn. just a short little test run. I'm not trying to kill it. We're not doing top speed runs. We're just checking out a rebuild and repair on a vintage Nitro. Guys, if you like this kind of stuff, please consider supporting me, becoming a channel member, becoming a Patreon member, and know that on this channel, I will never let any Nitro die. I'll be doing more videos on this later. See you guys in the next one. Nitro World Order.
Nitro World Order.